Good evening, everyone. It's about 6 o'clock on Tuesday evening. My name is Ravi Bala, Mayor Bala from Hoboken, and we are here to discuss a historic topic, the Southwest Park expansion and Hoboken's acquisition of what's called Block 10. I just want to give a brief introduction. We some number of years ago, a few years ago, acquired what's called Block 12 and is currently known as the Southwest Resiliency Park. That sits in the southwest quadrant of the city, and it was part of an overall initiative to generate more open space in this area of Hoboken, where opportunities for people to get fresh air, congregate, and enjoy open space are limited. To that end, there was a lot that was adjacent to Block 12 called Block 10, which was owned by Academy Bus Lines, a local company in Hoboken. And we sought to acquire that empty parking lot known as Block 10 as a part of the expansion of the Southwest Park. We initially proceeded with an authorization of the use of condemnation powers through eminent domain. As you all know, that's typically viewed as a means of last resort, but also something that can be done, and actually was done in the case of Block 12. Fortunately, with the collaboration of Councilman Ruben Ramos, he's the councilman for the Fourth Ward, where Block 10 is situated, and with the hard work and diligence of Director Gonzalez and our attorney on this matter, Joe Bauman, we were able to negotiate an agreement to purchase the property for a purchase price of $11 million for the acquisition of the park in lieu of exercising condemnation powers or eminent domain, which always carries with it some risks on both sides. So this is a great development for Hoboken. It's a historic development for Hoboken. I'd like to thank Councilman Ramos for his proactive engagement in the process. I don't think this would be possible without his direct involvement. So thank you very much, Councilman. And we want to try to replicate in some ways the process we took with the Northwest Park. That is obviously in the Northwest. And what we did there was after acquiring it in a similar way, we immediately created what's called a pop-up park using temporary features to create basketball courts, tennis courts, park benches, shade structures, pickleball courts, a community garden, a number of temporary uses, while on a contemporaneous track, we were designing the permanent Northwest Park. So that pop-up park in the Northwest was in existence for some substantial amount of time and was a great benefit to the community to immediately use and utilize and enjoy the Northwest real estate that we had acquired then. And what we'd like to do here is, and I'd like to also welcome Councilwoman Emily Jabbour, who was also involved in the process. Thank you, Councilwoman, for joining us and for all of your hard work. But what we were able to do with the Northwest Park was activate it immediately upon acquisition, and have people enjoy it while we planned out the full build out of the park, which is now under construction. So here we have a community meeting to really listen to the community to see what temporary uses you would like to see at this park as a pop-up park while we go through the process of designing a more permanent resiliency park as an extension of Block 12, the current Southwest Park. So that can be a variety of things. I think Director Gonzalez is going to give us a presentation as to potential ideas. There are certainly things that I'm sure that my staff has not thought of that maybe the community has thought of. So we'd love to hear what your thoughts are. We'd love to hear what your preferences are, whether it's active space, passive space, what type of active space, anything, any input that you have would be valuable so that we can activate this pop-up park, hopefully this summer for all of us to use. So with that, I'll pass it along to Councilman Ramos. Councilman, if you'd like to say a few words, we'd love to hear from you.
No, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it, and thank you everyone for being here tonight. This is as the mayor said, a very exciting time. It's a long road coming. I think this Southwest Park was first envisioned back in 2006, and my daughter was 3 years old at the time, so she's 17 and off to college. So unfortunately, she's not gonna be able to use the active portion of the park, which goes to speak to the time of the essence kind of mentality that we pursued with this over the last few years. We know that there's many children living in Southwest Hoboken, and while we have Southwest Park there, it doesn't have as much activity, and that's the goal of why we try to pursue. We first walked into eminent domain and went through that conversation with the Academy, but we knew that'd be a long, winding road, and a lot of children will miss out on the opportunity with growing up with a dynamic park in their neighborhood. And that's why we chose and worked hard over the past 2 years with the Academy, with the administration, with the team, with the attorneys assembled to try and do this the right way and not go through the courts and waste more time and be on the years of litigation. So we're extremely happy that tomorrow night we have the second vote for acquisition of Block 10. We're excited for what the future holds, but obviously the public is going to be a huge part of that future. And us here tonight is just step one. We want to have this park activated for the pop-up portion this summer to make sure that we have no more time to waste and that kids get to enjoy it, the community gets to enjoy it while we work on the long-term design. And what we're working on tonight is just a pop-up portion. The mayor spoke about this. We just want to reiterate, this is just a pop-up portion, and things that may be included in the pop-up portion may not be in the final design. Because we really want to create where people from all over, so we have in Pierce C or Maxwell Park in the southwest portion of Hoboken, or people all across the city of Hoboken be attracted to, or hopefully restaurants around the park as well, and really grow this dynamic neighborhood, but it already is something really special. So I appreciate the mayor, your time tonight, Director Gonzalez's work on this, Joe Bauman and the entire team. I'm looking forward to moving this process forward with everyone involved here today. So thank you very much, everyone. Looking forward to this process. And who will be next? Director Gonzalez? Pass the ball, Director Gonzalez.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you so much, Mayor, Councilman. We're really excited to be here tonight. This is a huge step forward for what will be the second pop-up park in Hoboken. We recently had the Northwest pop-up park. We'll talk a little bit about that today. And then we'll talk about the vision for the future of this pop-up park. And as Councilman Ramos stated, we're solely looking at the pop-up park this evening. There will be a full community design process for the permanent park, but this is really just for our immediate pop-up park. So hoping that this technology is with me. Okay, brief agenda for this evening. We started with our introductions, and then we will move right into existing conditions, some of the site constraints, our proposed pop-up park options that have been developed by one of our wonderful designers. I think she's on the call this evening too. Some feedback through a live poll. We'll talk about the timeline, and then we'll open it up for a question and answers. So I would just ask that if everybody has questions or comments, if you could leave them until the end. Feel free to add your questions to the Q&A panel. Otherwise, when we get to the Q&A period, you can simply raise your hand and we'll enter open discussion. So let's start with our existing conditions. What you see here is the Block 10 site. There is a proposed boundary outlined in white here for the temporary pop-up park. And some of our existing conditions, like the existing entrance to the parking lot that we plan to maintain, are outlined. There's a large concrete pad in the center of the site that is slightly uneven that we'll talk about as we look at our design options this evening. There's a driveway that will be maintained for access that will not be part of the pop-up park. And what you see in shaded in blue here are utility easements or other areas that we cannot develop as part of the pop-up park. These areas within the white line we can develop, and you'll see those included in our options this evening. The entrance is really predetermined by the existing entrance on the site, and the concrete pad is a former building foundation. So, that's something we're not looking to remove, we're just looking to build on top of. Access does need to be provided to the Hoboken Brewing until the end of their lease term. So what you'll see here is the access pathway for Hoboken Brewing, and this area is not included in the pop-up park. That term will end in winter of 2022. We will need to still maintain a 15-foot access easement right along the north side of the site for the Academy properties for maintenance. And the PSE&G easements, just to give you a little more information on them, one of the easements is an overhead electric distribution easement, and that's these two poles that are outlined in black on the plan. Those poles are not planned to be relocated as part of the pop-up park, but could potentially be relocated as part of the permanent park. PSE&G is currently reviewing options for relocation. And there's also an easement underground for a electric transmission infrastructure, and that will not be able to be relocated, but similar to the Northwest Park, we think it's simply something that we will design around. We'll put something on top of it that can ensure access to PSE&G for critical maintenance. Wanted to give you an idea of our previous Northwest Park, pop-up park, so that you could see what amenities are available for the Southwest pop-up park. Our goal is certainly to use as many of these as possible and make sure that we can do so on an expedited timeline to get the Southwest pop-up park open to the public. So as you could see, we had some basketball courts, tennis courts, pickleball courts, a community garden. We had two separate playground areas, one for play structures and one for rock climbing equipment. We had a large open space for programmed events, activities, fitness classes, and we had a fitness circuit around the perimeter of the Northwest Park, which included an elliptical, some parallel bars, pull-up bars. And then in the playground area, we had some playground games like chess and hopscotch and foursquare, and we had some shade structures throughout the property as well as a bocce ball court. So looking at these amenities, you can see that when we planned for the Northwest Park, we knew that we would have multiple pop-up parks in Hoboken, or at least we were certainly hoping so at the time. So we planned to use snap together sports courts that would allow us to pick up this equipment and move it to another location in the future. So we can preserve the use of the basketball court at the pop-up park at Block 10. Pickleball courts are largely made of just paint and portable nets. The playground equipment is still there. It's packed up securely in storage, and we would just simply need to replace the safety surface. And our rock climbing and bouldering blocks are also safely stored. So these are some of the amenities that we have to select from for the Block 10 pop-up park. And here's a list of those amenities. As I mentioned, basketball, tennis, pickleball, playground games, anything that's really done in surface paint. Passive recreation, we have 2 shade structures, some picnic tables. We would certainly rent portable restrooms. We do have some community garden plots. They had been actually relocated to another pop-up garden at 2nd and Willow and have since been decommissioned for the Veterans Housing Project. So those are available for us to use. And we have fitness equipment, including a sit-up bench, elliptical, pull-up bars, and the playground equipment, including 2 swings, an ADA swing, play structure, and the 2 rock climbing features, as well as a sensory spinner. So these are the options that we've drafted for you this evening. I'm certainly very interested in your feedback on them. Some setting a little bit of the design parameters that we considered when we were developing these options. The first is that the playground is situated over the concrete surface. That's because the engineered wood fiber that makes up the safety surface for the playground is actually really great at evening out surfaces. So we can use it to level out the surface above the former concrete pad, and it's a really great structure for the playground equipment. So this kind of mirrors, this outline, mirrors that concrete pad. So we tried to keep that in the southwest corner of the site. The basketball court, we tried to make sure that it was north-south oriented. That way you're not playing basketball with, bright sun in your eyes. And same thing for the potential pickleball courts. So in option 1, the active recreation components are 5 pickleball courts, a basketball court, and the playground area, as well as these playground games, Foursquare and Hopscotch. The passive elements are the community garden area, which is situated near Harrison Street because that is where the water connection could possibly be. These shade and tables right near the basketball court, plus this open area in the center that could be programmable or just open activity space, which we found was really popular at the Northwest Park. Parents were teaching their kids to ride bikes in the open activity space, and there were just pop-up activities all the time. Option 2 would feature the shade structure on the other side of the basketball court, along with some surface games, the basketball court in the same layout. And really, this is one of the few locations on the site where the basketball court does fit, and it's kind of a bit of a constraint, but it does fit in that location. Additional pickleball courts, actually 7 in this diagram, and the community garden. So in this diagram on option 2, what you're losing from option 1 is the programmable space, but you're gaining additional active space for the pickleball courts. One note is that there were tennis courts at the Northwest Pop-Up Park. We tried to fit them on this site, but the only way we would be able to do it while maintaining the north-south direction would be to only have 1 tennis court. And we didn't know if that would be really viable because, that 1 tennis court is taken up and it's a few people playing for, the vast majority of the site. So we ultimately didn't include a tennis court in this specific series of options, but certainly open to suggestions. It takes up a large percentage of the site and we can only fit 1. So we're gonna test out some live polling here. I just wanna open up the poll to everybody. This poll should be live right now. So if you go to pollev.com/JenniferGons735, sorry, I couldn't change that. Unfortunately, it's many. So that's pollev.com/JenniferGons735. You will be able to vote and we can see your votes on the screen in real time. I'm hoping some people are voting. Very cool. So it looks like so far the playground is the #1 choice, but still some votes coming in, so we'll give it another minute. Give it about 10 more seconds. We have 16 responses out of 27 attendees. So you're certainly welcome to continue to vote. All right. So reviewing the results so far, we have a playground and picnic area with shade ranking at the top of the list, with basketball, pickleball, community garden in the middle, and the open activity space in the games at the bottom of the list. One more request for poll. We would like to know whether you prefer option 1 or option 2. So I see that we have some people just joining. So if you are interested in the options, we can go back and review them towards the end. I'll put them up on the screen at the end, but you can also feel free to provide your feedback at the end of the meeting in the Q&A session. I'll put them on the screen during the Q&A. Okay. So it looks like option 1 is preferred. Now option 1, just a refresher, is that it had the open activity space that option 2 did not have, and option 2 had more pickleball courts in place of that open activity space. And I trust that some of you have some more nuanced feedback than just whether you prefer option 1 or option 2. So we're going to move into Q&A at the conclusion of the meeting, and you can certainly feel free to provide open-ended feedback at that point. So here's our timeline. We are past our April 7th City Council meeting. As Councilman Ramos noted, our second City Council meeting is tomorrow evening, where the City Council will review the second reading for the ordinance to purchase the property from Academy, and if approved, that will mean that the ordinance would be adopted, authorizing the purchase and sale, adopting the bond ordinance for park acquisition, and introducing an ordinance amending the redevelopment plan. The public meeting obviously is today, April 20th. We anticipate that based on your feedback this evening, we will be able to proceed into design, and that design process will be completed in draft form close to the end of April, the beginning of May, with the goal of completing the final pop-up park design and cost estimate before May 5th, and awarding a construction contract for the pop-up park on May 19th. That would allow us, based on our current estimates, would allow us to complete construction of the pop-up park right around July 4th. We have listed here July 2nd. So our whole goal, working backwards, is provide a pop-up park to the public as soon as possible. And we think the soonest that would be is July 4th, and we're really trying very hard to get that done for the community in Southwest Hoboken. So I'll open up the floor to questions. What I would ask is if you do have a question, if you would like to raise your hand so that I can admit you as a panelist, or I guess Rod can admit you as a panelist, and then we can answer your questions. And in the meantime, I will put the 2 options back on the screen. Oops.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thanks for giving me the chance to say something. I'll just tell you quickly who I am. I'm a resident of Hoboken for 37 years. I'm 68 years old. And I just learned to play pickleball. And one of the things I noticed in our discussions, we talk about kids, soccer, basketball, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not sure if anyone in this panel plays pickleball, but as I said, I just started. And just in the overall feeling, I get a feeling that we're really not thinking about this as a senior sport. Okay. I've learned that I play with people in their 80s and their 20s. Okay. And right now we have no pickleball courts. Okay. So senior citizens, have been left out of this, real discussion when there is a lot of us that like to play. And we like to play with the younger people because the thing about pickleball is you can do both. You can play, have two older people, two younger people, you split up, and it's a lot of fun and it's great exercise. My biggest concern, being a recovering architect and a project construction manager, I see you have July. Knowing how these things go, we'll be lucky if we actually start playing pickleball in the fall. So although I won't stay on this very long, but I noticed just around the corner these mini soccer and basketball courts under the viaduct. And I would like to suggest to the mayor at this point that you remove those and make them into pickleball courts. Okay? Because, we have nothing now. Everyone else has soccer, basketball, tennis, open areas, but we pickleball players, I mean seniors, have nothing. So I encourage you to remove those silly things under the viaduct, put some pickleball courts in, and it'll probably leave you a little space for the park. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Eugene. I think we have, Rod, would you like to let the next person in? Would you like me to?
Hey everyone, Grant here. Thanks for putting this together, Jen. Looks great. I think either design is great. Another pickleball player here. So really appreciate you prioritizing the sport here in the Southwest. My main question is around hours. Jen, I don't know if you mentioned the details around the hours, but there's a crew that likes to play in the mornings on the weekdays. And so I was curious what access to the park looks like on mornings.
We haven't discussed hours yet. Typically, city parks are open from 8 a.m. to dusk, but we also do open parks at different hours for certain programmed events and programmed sports. So that's something we could certainly consider.
Okay, but it'd be fenced. It's going to be a fenced-in park. Is that correct?
It is fenced. Yeah, it's currently fenced. Some of you might notice there's barbed wire. We're going to remove that, but it is currently fenced, and we do plan to keep the fence for security reasons. We have to make sure that it is secure from the vehicular traffic on the north side of the site that is going to be accessing both the Academy building and the Hoboken Brewing. So we're going to keep this as a fenced park that will be opened in the morning and closed in the evening. But again, those hours can be flexible, and we can work with you based on your feedback to consider different hours.
Great. Thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, hi, this is Ryan McDevitt. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk. I was just saying, it seems I was able to get my vote in, but it seems that it might have been kind of hastily done. If there's any way you can, even if it's a brief window, send out an email to, I don't know, a distribution, or post it to the Southwest community website that is on Facebook, so that you can get more votes. Sounds like we've got a lot of pickleball fans on. So I think maybe number 2 would rise in its stock value there. But that was really all I wanted to say, is that I think it would be great if we could give the, even if brief, the opportunity for the public to weigh in through more, less on demand means like we have here. But in general, thank you very much for your work and everything that you're doing to put this together. And we're all in the Southwest really excited about this.
It's good enough. Can you hear me? All right, great. So I like option one. I agree with the previous caller that it seems like pickleball is a thing. I haven't played it, so I can't judge it. I'm sure it's good. But I thought maybe adding more shade and tables to where the hopscotch and foursquare, because one of the things I think, and I know this is just pop up, and we have already a existing Southwest Park that is, substantially hardscape. But I think people do want to be able to sit down. And I think especially sitting down next to kids playing in the playground area is important. And like I said, the previous caller who mentioned that pickleball seems to be, I guess, a sport or something that we could fit a bunch of them in so you could have more activity. I'm just curious if there's something else. The basketball court looks great. But is there something else other than pickleball that could be substituted?
So I will answer your last question. I guess that was the main question. And I mean, I think the other option would be anything with paint. So if there were to be some other form of, soccer, like mini pitch, soccer that we could do with paint, that would be another option. But we don't have any other amenities for use from the Northwest Pop-Up Park other than the basketball and tennis courts, which really don't fit here, unfortunately, more than one basketball court or tennis court. So that was why we, went with pickleball. But if that is a point of feedback, we can certainly consider other, painted sport options.
Yeah, I was just asking if there are any substitutions, but I do think removing, it seemed like that was the lowest on the list anyway, removing those games, the foursquare and hopscotch, and adding more shading tables, especially near the playground equipment.
Okay. That's a good suggestion. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I don't think I answered the previous question just regarding a survey afterwards, and we can certainly consider that too. So.
Hi, it's Aileen McGurk, 62 Patterson Avenue. And I wasn't able to get on and vote on Zoom on my phone, and it was kind of hard to get the link in to vote appropriately. But I would say I really like option one. I think it provides a lot of good space. I understand the pickleball people who are very excited about having pickleball come back. And I think that affords them what looks to be, 5 courts to play pickleball on. But there is a great need to have the basketball space and the playground space for a community where, we have a large size park that kids can ride bikes and scooters, but for kids who want to play basketball or for kids who might want to, play a little bit more, there isn't a lot of that. So I love the basketball court. I love the shade and tables. I think the more shade and the more tables we can have, the better, because that will enable parents to be comfortable while they keep an eye on their kids. And that's certainly important. And, I think option one is great, but I don't think the vote is really reflective of who's on the call, because I know there are a lot of people in transit on phones right now. So I think if you could send something out, that would probably be great, and a way to capture a larger slice of resident views. So thank you so much. It looks great. I'm so excited to see it open, but option one.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, it's Bryn Demonici. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear
Okay,
you.
great. Okay, just confirming. So, yeah, I'm a resident of Hoboken for 7 years. I lived on Second in Jackson. I kind of wanted to reiterate Greg and Eileen's previous point. Is there any option that we can really extend some of that green space? So either the shade and tables, but also I'm thinking about the garden and thinking about another previous point that was made about we have a number of seniors who live in the area, and we do have that community garden that's on Third and Jackson, but there's a long wait list. It's somewhat kind of under maintained, and I know like a lot of seniors would love that garden space. I know there's a lot of blocks in the area that don't have their own outdoor space. So again, I think it's been reiterated there's a lot of pickleball fans on there, but when you look at the lack of green space on this map, it's kind of not necessarily what all residents would want. And the previous or the other park that's already in place on the other side of the street is mostly concrete. So is that an option, or is this we're choosing just between option 1 and 2?
No, we're certainly taking feedback on all options. So this and to add more green space is something we absolutely hear and we can consider.
Yeah, I just really think about the type of housing that's in the area and really the lack of green space that's in that housing. If we could have something for the community that has a lot of that green space. I know there's like the whole thing from Jane Jacobs where everyone wants to fit every possible option into a city block. So it has to be hard to appease everyone, but I just think about the lack of green space on the southwest side of town. So that was my only
Director
comment.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Sorry.
Director Gonzalez? Yeah, I just want to say that I definitely appreciate and agree with Bryn's comments regarding green space. What I was wondering though was, is that something, is green space something that's an option that we can implement on a pop-up basis or a temporary basis typically, or are we limited to these options? And I know in the Northwest, I don't recall too much green space. Can we integrate that here on a pop-up basis or not?
Yeah, so just to clarify what green space would be in this pop-up basis, it would be something like the pallet planters with trees in them that we utilized at the Northwest Park. We wouldn't be breaking the asphalt pavement for any reason. And I'm not sure if the shade structures that you're seeing in the plan, if you're envisioning them as green space, meaning grass, they're shade structures, those green squares. So they're shade structures that look, I wonder if I have a photo from Northwest Park. If you see in this photo from Northwest Park, that's the type of shade structure that we have available. And these are the planters with the trees. So we can absolutely add in terms of, I should say, more greenery, not green space. That's probably a misleading term, but we can't break the surface of the asphalt. But we can add more green features like trees and planters. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's great to hear.
Hey, Mira Patel here, resident of Hoboken since 2009. Mayor Bala and Jennifer just said it's more probably plants and whatnot. So wanted to reiterate the idea of having more grass for children and seniors to enjoy, whether it be running around, standing around, and whatnot. That's all from my end.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. Jane Porges. I want to echo many of the comments. I think this is, wonderful development for the community. With respect to the green space or the garden, I wonder how much utility we will get out of the garden, given, starting in July. And how temporary is this pop-up? Is it for a year, for, till turn of the year? Because it might be more effective to use those spaces for other things or for greenery, temporary greenery, and invest in more permanent greenery, trees, et cetera, when the permanent park is built. The other thing I just wanted to comment is I think I need to learn to play pickleball.
Jane, to answer your question regarding the permanency of the pop-up park, the timeline is really just as long as it takes us to design and go through the full community planning process for the permanent park. So that's probably in the time frame of 2 years, maybe more. That was about the timeline for Northwest Park. So I know the community gardeners at Northwest got about 2.5 seasons out of their community garden plots, because we started that garden in the summer too. So it is possible, and we will certainly consider your feedback. Thank you.
Okay, well, that's significant to have a couple of years. So I would withdraw my comment about appropriating that space for something else. I think it's a great option, and look forward to the pop-up as soon as all the plans can be completed. And I also feel, as others do, that we have a small group on the call today, so polling the neighborhood would be really wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello?
Hi, Alan. We hear you now.
Oh yeah, it's funny. My name's Dave Stone, but you guys have me as Alan. I don't I don't know how that happened. Probably when I set up the Zoom app or something. Maybe it's a default. But anyway, this is Dave Stone. Thanks for hosting this tonight. And first I want to thank Mayor Bala, Ruben, and Emily, and the whole town council for acquiring Block 10 to expand the park. It's amazing over here. It's a big accomplishment. We're really excited for that. So thank you for that. And I just want to let you know, I would vote, as far as the options, I like option 1. As far as my comments, the only comments I would have is definitely think pickleball is a great sport. I would think that, I live right across from the park, so I see all the kids there playing every day. And I do like the hopscotch and Foursquare area. And I think if we could expand, maybe add some shade and table area, maybe in that 5th pickleball area, or maybe flip the hopscotch and that pickleball area. But I think maybe 4 pickleball courts would be hopefully enough to satisfy everybody that likes pickleball. And I do think that having the hopscotch and Foursquare is a big positive. Kids would love that. And then having some shade and tables by that playground would be great. So that's my comments, really. And I'm not Alan.
Thank you. Maybe while we're waiting for Alan, we will answer some of the Q&A that have come in the chat. I see that Chris A asked, is there a plan to assist with safety calming measures along Harrison Street? Since these two parks will be bisected by Harrison, it presents some safety concerns. That is something that we will look at with our Director of Transportation. And while I'm not incredibly familiar with that, I can get back to you with the appropriate answer. I'm not sure if any of the council members on the call are familiar with any other efforts going on through the Transportation Committee, but I think it would be best if I reach out to him and get back to you on that. Let's see, comment from Jim agreeing with Eugene about option 2, pro pickleballer. Greg, just clarifying that the green space lacks in Southwest Hoboken, so perhaps it's not the pop-up, but definitely the permanent park. And I can tell you, I'm sure that there will be much more greenery in the permanent park. But we are kind of limited with what we can do in the pop-up park as regards greenery. And there was a follow-up question from Catherine regarding could we do artificial turf? And that's an interesting suggestion that I don't know the answer to, but we can consider that suggestion. And then the last question was, can Hoboken Brewing have a window installed where they can serve beer? And unfortunately, alcohol is not permitted in parks in the city of Hoboken. So the answer to that is no. But thank you for your suggestion.
I admire the creative thinking there.
So unless we've heard from Alan, I don't see any other.
I'm here. I am here. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, we hear you, Alan.
Wow. This was like a play called Waiting for Alan. And then David came on as me. It was quite frustrating. But anyway, I'll just let you know, I'm not in that district. I'm in the southeast, which is right at the waterfront downtown, where I am right now. So my suggestions for either one of those two or what to put in there, whatever is there is going to be great. I would just say, ask as many people as you can, even go door to door for an afternoon or two, and new things will happen. You'll see whether there are more kids coming there or more older folks, one of which is myself. I think I would love to try pickleball. I'm sure it's fantastic, but I think you don't need, or maybe you do, but 7 courts or 5 or 6 seems a little excessive if there's another way to do something. But ultimately, your neighbors are the ones to ask, and ask as many of them. But in a more general way, when I got into Hoboken, there were really no parks here. There was no waterfront. Church Square Park was there, of course, and a few other small parks, but no active parks, nothing green, nothing beautiful. And in a relatively short time, we have one of the most beautiful towns anywhere nearby. And that includes what you're doing in the Northwest. The fact that you can have a meeting like this, where the mayor, a council person, concerned people in the neighborhood have a voice. It seems normal to you, perhaps, but it's really a miraculous thing that's happened in Hoboken. And the folks that have stewarded this for so long, the benefit and quality of life is just, you can't put a price on it. I'm watching 30 or 40 kids play soccer. Hundreds and hundreds of people are out jogging and walking around, and then they're in their best mood and best humor. It's very respectful, beautiful sight. And to do that in that neighborhood, to let people be outside together is really an amazing thing without price. It's great civic work that you guys are doing, and the people who have piped up are just the ones who really should determine it and benefit from it. So thank you very much. Really, you should be proud of yourselves. It's a real lovely thing that's happened. So continue it and best of luck.
Thank you, Ellen. Eileen, I do see your follow-up question about traffic, and again, I'm certainly going to reach out to Director Sharp and get better answers on that. I just don't want to speak outside my wheelhouse verbally. So with that, before I turn it over to Mayor Bala for some concluding remarks, I just wanted to say a big thank you to Larissa on our team who put these options together and did a really fantastic job. We're grateful to work together with this wonderful team every day. And so thank you for giving us the opportunity to present to you tonight. You are all certainly welcome to email me with follow-up comments, and we will look to put out some form of poll or follow-up survey to the greater Hoboken community as well. So thank you. And Mayor Bala, would you like to conclude?
Yeah, I just would like to thank everyone for participating. I really benefited from hearing the feedback of these residents, and for me, one of the big takeaways is to really try to continue to solicit as much feedback through as many mediums as possible. We've had 30 or 40 folks on this call, but I'm sure we can get a lot more feedback in the coming weeks. I do want to underscore my gratitude to Larissa for designing these two options, and also emphasize that these are temporary until we design a permanent park where we will have expanded opportunities for grassy areas or more green space, in addition to what you see here. But I really just want to thank everyone for their time tonight on a weekday evening, and we'll continue the process of getting the community's input. So thank you very much.